Snapshot!
Hi guys, and welcome, gnembon here. So last week Mojang has dropped yet another 1.14 snapshot that, apart from some villager related stuff, enabled a bunch of really interesting changes to some good old game mechanics. So we are in 19W13B, and one of those changes is that we can now place redstone and redstone components on more non-solid blocks like glass, and it's actually now functional and without weird artifacts that we had before with glass creating with shadows and blocking light. So now we can place redstone like so, and if you power the bottom, the signal just goes up, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, it isn't any different than what we could have done before with glowstone or slabs, in a sense that we can only use it to send the signal up, so the signal won't go down even if it visually connects. I was really hoping we could get the Bedrock Edition mechanics where slabs transmit power only upwards, but glass and other blocks like that would work in both directions, up and down. That would be really useful, cause right now it's kinda not really, but it's cool to have nonetheless. Another very useful change is the change to player size when sneaking. So now when we sneak, we would be able to go below the 1.5 block high gap, which means that now we can run away and cheese our way out of from most mobs, not only Endermen with their skeletons, which were more than 2 blocks high as before, but with walls like this, with pretty much all the other mobs, except for maybe baby zombies or small slimes. All other mobs, skeletons, zombies, creepers, large slimes, guardians, won't be able to go through. Little cheesy, but pretty cool nonetheless. All jokes aside, a slightly larger difference in player heights will enable more better contraptions that include the AFKing player, with players being able to conform size-wise to different spaces. And building a dirt wall is now much easier than before, which is pretty cool. Anyways, that's all bells and whistles, especially the villager changes, but what's really cool is all the hidden changes that for whatever reason Mojang doesn't want us to find out, at least not immediately. So this hidden feature has been discovered by Reddit user DragonGasCN, and it is a new vortex enchantment that has been added to the game. Now you will not be able to find it in creative inventory, but you can still search for it, and here it appears. So what this new enchantment is all about? If you add it to a pick or a sword in creative, it doesn't seem to have any effect. But if we switch to survival, you can see that it turns out that this enchantment does not work with pickaxes, bows, or swords. It turns out that it only works with axes. So let's make one with level 1, one with level 2, and one with level 3. Let's name it appropriately. A thorax. So what does the vortex do? In short, it creates a kind of flow of air around the player. So that drops a few items on the ground. And as we can see, at the basic level, it allows to bring entities towards the player. But as we can see, it doesn't only affect items, but all entities as well, which might be pretty annoying, to be honest. It also creates a few of those particles, the dust particles, I don't know, around the player. It also adds a little bit of a quiet wind noise. Like that. It's actually quite a useful thing to have on an axe. If you, for example, go out chopping wood, will get items straight to the player. However, what I came up with is that if you put this vortex enchantment in your offhand, it actually works as well, meaning we can benefit from the magnetic abilities with other tools as well, which might be pretty useful when you're caving. Or maybe not, because we'll be sucking in creepers, all the baddies as well. So it makes caving actually quite risky. So that would be the level 1. Now, if we switch to the second level of Vortex Enchantment, it actually starts getting pretty cool. what it does, it makes mobs and items to circle around you, and we get to see even more particles, and the wind noise kind of picks up. This might be a pretty cool way to find mobs, but I thought you could dual wield a bow with it, but I guess the winds also affect the arrows, so using a bow becomes honestly quite problematic with this as well. Okay, now if we check the vortex level 3, things start to get pretty crazy. Now we can see the force is actually strong enough that it lifts all the mobs above the player. Obviously, using a bow is even more useless at this point, but that's really, really cool what happens. At first, I thought it would be a little bit too destructive, but there are other things in the game that have the same level of destruction that they bring, like TNT, channeling tridents, or even just sweeping edge swords. What did I say? TNT? Let's give it a shot. So despite being really cool, it's probably not that useful. Still really, really interesting. Wow. That's fun. So I think that will be it for today. Despite not being 100% happy with the villager changes, I must admit that quote-unquote other changes like suspicious stews, redstone or transparent blocks, TNT drop changes, or changes to the player crouching, or the vortex enchantment seems to be really improving the gameplay experience. I don't fully understand why this needs to be an exclusive enchantment, but I get the reference to Thor and Nordic mythology. Maybe it has to do with the taiga biome. But I really like how different levels of the same enchantment, despite doing roughly the same thing, seems to be quite useful in vastly different scenarios, and it's quite balanced as well, so GG Mojang on that. And kudos to Reddit user DragonGasCN of finding that out. I don't know how easy it would be to get the Vortex enchantment in survival. I assume it would be rather hard to get, or it might stay in creative like illusioners or undead horses. Time will tell. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave me a like, subscribe if you haven't done it already, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.